Okay, so this next exercise that we do, we call the marble marriage exercise, and you need some sort of clear glass, and it really illustrates the idea of what we have as risk factors in a marriage versus strengths in a marriage. And a lot of times, I know as a therapist and as an educator, we get a lot of people in our classes that are somewhat discouraged. They focus more on their risks than their strengths. And a lot of the risk factors are fixed, meaning that there's things that they can't do anything about, no matter how hard they try. So a lot of your couples will come in with those, and those are some static things that we'll talk about, and those will be represented by red marbles, and our strengths will be using the green marbles. And so some risk factors that I can think of for poor outcomes in marriage might be things like getting married at a really early age, like a teenage marriage, maybe getting married when you're pregnant, or having a child right away as soon as you get married. Another risk factor is being raised in a divorced family.
Other risk factors that are really hard to do anything about are, though things can happen, it's really hard to change. Maybe if someone has addiction issues, that's always really a challenge for marriage. Another thing is like real extreme financial issues.
Right.
They can change eventually, but a lot of times they can stay very static. And you can have your class brainstorm different risk factors that they really can't do anything about, and they're really just kind of stuck with.
Yeah, and what we would do if we were doing this as a class activity is have had the marbles on the tables for people, and we might walk around and ask them, what's the risk factor you can think of, and have them put it in the glass so you can get more participation from your group members. And then we want to focus on what are some strengths. So there's not a lot we can do about these risk factors, but we can teach couples strengths. So maybe one of the things that we would put in as a strength is taking a couples communication class and learning how to take the time to talk better and to listen to each other. So that would give them some strengths there.
And, there's not a lot you can do about those risk factors, but you can make sure that no matter what your risk factors are, that you carve out time for each other and spend time together. Just the two of you, even without the kids. So that would definitely add to the quality of marriage and hopefully have a better outcome.
Okay. Other things that might, the idea of, the family that plays together stays together. So making sure that you're taking time to do the fun things in your marriage and in your family. Taking time to play together.
I think that anger tends to be a big issue in marriage. And so when people learn how to handle their anger well, that certainly is a strength in marriage. Learn how to handle anger. And to add to that, we all know that certainly learning how to handle your conflict well is a very big, important part of having a healthy, strong marriage.
Okay. So the idea is just to try to add a lot more strengths to marriage, because people do come in very discouraged. I'm thinking of some people that I saw actually just today in therapy, and apparently they'd seen a therapist before who told them their only option was to get divorced. And listening to their story, there is a lot of risk factors. And instead, by the end of the session, I said, okay, so tell me about what works in this marriage. What's the strengths that you all had? And they really turned around and were able to really focus on some of the positive things and identifying some of the strengths that they need to, that they do already possess, but also strengths that they're going to build. So it's kind of like this. We were just adding more things. And actually, when they rescheduled, they said to me, thanks. We're really glad we saw you because you've actually given us the feeling of hope in our marriage. And I was just thrilled about that. But that's really what this is about, is helping to encourage couples and giving them hope.
Giving them hope is absolutely what it's about. So the idea is, when you have a large group of people, is that they're all adding things that they could possibly be strengths. And the idea is that these are all things that any couple can do. Like, you can get married when you're 17, but still learn how to communicate well.
Right.
You can have 4 small children at home and still learn how to fight fairly so that nobody gets damaged. And so you're piling up as many of the positive things you can into your marriage. So that would be like if we had a whole room full. As you can see, there's still red ones at the bottom. Those risk factors don't go away.
Right. So they're still in there. And, anytime a couple's going to experience any kind of stressful times or just, some of those times that couples have. We all know that we have really good times. We have some times that maybe aren't so good. It's really easy when things are bad to go straight to the negative. But because we've taught these people some strengths, there's a good chance we'll just kind of see what happens when we pull out. We've had a certain kind of day, and we'll see what we've got at the end of the day. So, yay, I pulled out a green marble. So, again, we've taught these folks that even though you had a lot of risk factors, we've taught you some strengths, so you've got a better chance of, when times are difficult, of really pulling on some of the strengths that you have and building on those.
And I guess the other idea is really, for a lot of couples that do get discouraged, like you were talking about, is to think that, yeah, there are some risk factors, and to really be honest with them that, sometimes you can put a lot of good things in there, and at the end of the day, when you're looking for the outcome of that marriage, you still end up pulling out a red marble, which means things don't work out well. And to be honest with people, that sometimes that does happen. But with every strength you can add in there, you're decreasing the probability that bad things are going to happen, and you're increasing the possibility that it's going to be a good outcome. So it is just kind of a very hopeful way of helping a group of people see that marriage is a lot of work, that there's a lot of work to it too, and you're not just destined to the past.
Right. And this is, again, an activity we use a lot that people love. I mean, I've had a lot of people come up to us afterwards and say that this is one of their favorite activities because it's a real good visual demonstration too.